Welcome, geometry students, to class today on Monday the 16th. Hope you guys had a good weekend. Hope you're ready to learn some math today or review some math. If you'll glance here at the information I have written down, let me explain this. Here's a schedule of the upcoming week, starting with today. So let me explain what we're going to do this week, okay? On Monday, we're going to go over test 5, and then we'll be finished with all 6 tests. If you'll look up here, last week on Monday, we covered chapter 6. On Tuesday, we did chapter 1 test. On Wednesday, we did chapter 2 test. On Thursday, we did chapter 4 test. And on Friday, we did chapter 3 test, okay? And then today, we're going to do chapter 5 test. So that takes care of today. We're going to review the chapter 5 test. If you want to go ahead and get that out, you can. If you don't have it, that's fine also. Now tomorrow, Haley, listen to me carefully. Tomorrow, first hour does not meet. Okay? First hour, no class. Now that's the 4 students, Jasa, Zoo, Jake, and Martin. And so they don't have class. I'm not going to make a video just for you because we already have another day here where we're going to tie some loose ends together. So Haley, look at Tuesday, tomorrow, Tuesday, look at that as a study hall. And maybe you maybe have a test later on that day. I don't know. I'm not sure. But if you do, use that to study for your test tomorrow. But tomorrow on Tuesday, you'll just have a study hall. Just study for some upcoming tests, and I will let Mr. Harmon know that too, so he'll know that you're not trying to get out of work or anything like that. So Tuesday, first hour, you don't meet, so you're taken care of, and Haley, you're just going to have a study hall. Now Wednesday, that's our last day we have class, so there will be a video on Wednesday. Okay, there will be a video, and I'll kind of tie some loose ends together, go over some final quick announcements and just stuff like that. It won't be a long video, probably pretty short, but that's what we'll do Wednesday. Now Thursday, I think I've been announcing the test was Thursday. That was my mistake. Haley, your test is Thursday. Remember, you're a third hour exam. The other 4 students are a first hour exam. In other words, you take the class every day during third hour, Haley. The other 4 students, let me get a quick drink here. The other 4 students take their test or have their class every day during first hour. So the third hour exams meet on Thursday at 8:15 in the morning, and the first hour exams meet at Friday at 8:15 in the morning. Okay? Everybody got that? So Haley, you'll take your test on Thursday. You other 4 students will take yours on Friday. Now Haley, I'm 99% sure I'll be there to give you the test. I'm planning on it. I'm really sure I'm going to be there. The other class I'm 100% sure because Friday I won't have any homeschooling obligations. But either way, I'm pretty sure I'll be at both of those. So shouldn't be an issue there. Now, Friday, Haley emailed me, and Haley had a great idea. She said, Mr. Earhart, can you get copies to us of these pages here? Here's the summary of Test 6, summary of Test 1, summary of Test 2, summary of Test 4, summary of Test 3, summary of Test 5. And that's what we're going to look at today right here. You've not seen this one right here before, okay? And we're gonna look at that today. But what I'm pointing out to you is right now, if you've not been handed these 6 sheets of paper for each of you, then pause the video and get those. Mr. Harmon should have given you handouts. Now I think they're in a different order. I think I stapled them in order test 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's the order they should be in. But I thought that was a great idea from Haley, and I've done that for you. So all of you should have copies of these reviews, okay? All right, I just want to make sure we're good with that. So all of these reviews you've seen here except for test number 5, and we're going to go over that today. All right, so in the past, every day I've always gone over all these reviews. I'm not going to do that today. We looked at all these. The only one I'm going to go over is what we did on Friday, and here it is right here. The main thing I taught you on Friday was know the 4 special sets of angles when 2 parallel lines are cut by a transversal. Here's 2 parallel lines cut by a transversal. This angle and this angle are called alternate interior. This angle and this angle are called alternate interior. This angle and this angle are called alternate exterior. And this angle and this angle, alternate exterior. I'm not going to go through all these, etc., etc. But make sure you know all of these names of these angles and where they go. And then know the character traits. Know that alternate interior are congruent, alternate exterior are congruent, corresponding angles are congruent, consecutive interiors are supplementary. And then know the 5 ways to prove that 2 lines are parallel. If I have 2 lines cut by a transversal and I know this is 50 degrees and this is 50 degrees, that's alternate interior angles, so I know the 2 lines are parallel. If I have an angle here that's 100 degrees and an angle here that's 100 degrees, those are called corresponding angles, and notice they're congruent, so I know my 2 lines are parallel. Okay? If I have this here being 100 and this being 80, those are consecutive interior angles, and whenever consecutive interior angles are supplementary, like these are, 100 plus 80 is 180, then you know the 2 lines are parallel. Okay? Or another thing we learned is if you have 2 lines and they're both perpendicular to the same given line, this line here is perpendicular to this line, and this line here is perpendicular to the same line, then I know that these 2 lines here are parallel. So make sure you're familiar with all that. We covered that on Friday, and all of that will be on the test. And here's what we're going to look at today. You can see it's a pretty short review. Okay, so with that in mind, let me tell you exactly how many slides we have. I think we just have 3, 1, 2, 3, and that's it. So be thankful it's a short video. You guys have earned this. You are so far ahead. Sorry, my boys are a little loud. I'm going to pause the video and tell them to kind of quiet it down. I think they're playing some video games down in the basement. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about those loud noises you might have heard. My kids get into the video game sometimes. Okay, here we go. Take some good notes or follow along. Question number 10 on test number 5. We are going to review test number 5. These 2 triangles are congruent. ABC is congruent to FGM. List 3 sets of congruent angles. Okay, no problem. Angle A is congruent to angle what? F, that's the first letter. Angle B is congruent to, that's my second letter. What's the second letter over here? G. So angle G. Angle C is congruent to angle M. There you go. Pretty easy, okay? And then also list out the 3 sets of congruent sides. Okay, no problem. AB is one side of a triangle. That's the first 2 letters. FG are the second 2 letters, or excuse me, are the first 2 letters over here. So segment AB is congruent to segment FG. Okay, now let's go to the last 2 letters. So BC would correspond with GM. So I know that BC, side BC, is congruent to side GM. Okay? And now lastly, we have our first letter A and our last letter C, AC, and our first letter F and our last letter M, FM. So we have AC is congruent to FM. Okay, so this segment or this side of the triangle is congruent to this side over here. That's really pretty easy to do. So do be able to list out the corresponding angles and the corresponding sides when you were given a triangle congruent statement. Okay? All right, let's continue on. Okay, numbers 11 and 12. Decide if the 2 triangles can be stated as congruent. If they cannot, just put no. If they can, tell me why. Now here's the 5 ways that we learned to prove that triangles are congruent. If 3 sides of one triangle are congruent to 3 sides of another, side, 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 then the 2 triangles are congruent. If we have a side and an included angle, so side angle side of one triangle congruent to side angle side of another triangle, then the 2 triangles are congruent. If we have angle angle side of one triangle congruent to angle angle side of another triangle, then the 2 triangles are congruent. If we have angle side angle of a triangle congruent to angle side angle of another triangle, then those 2 triangles are congruent. Okay, sorry guys, I had to pause the video and run outside real quick. Sorry about that. Okay, I think I was here at angle side angle, and I really am sorry about that. But anyways, that happens sometimes. If the angle side angle of one triangle is congruent to angle side angle of another triangle, then those two triangles are congruent. If you have a right triangle, now please listen to me, HL only works on right triangles. It doesn't work on anything else, okay? But if you have a right triangle, if you have two right triangles, and the hypotenuse and leg of one right triangle is congruent to the hypotenuse and leg of another triangle, then the two triangles are congruent. And so we're going to use these 5 things and see if we can't prove some of these triangles are congruent. So what I have taught you guys is, I believe it's very, very smart to split the triangles up when they're connected. So I'm going to take this triangle right here and I'm going to cut it out like I've done before, and I'm going to slide it over here. And that's not what I wanted to do. Let's see if I can do it this way. And that's not what I wanted to do. Let's see if I can do it this way. And that's not what I wanted to do. So there we go. And there we go. And there we go. And there we go. Okay. More than one way to skin a cat. So we're going to forget about this triangle right here. And we're going to put it right here. We're going to say C, D, B. And there were 2 slashes here and there was 1 slash here. There we go. Okay. Now, can we state that triangle number 1 right here is congruent to triangle number 2? Can we do that? Well, let's see. First of all, I know I have side AB has 2 slashes and CD has 2 slashes, so I know they're congruent. And I know that AC, 1 slash, is congruent to BD, so that's good. So I know I have 2 sides. So 2 sides being congruent, I'm not going to use this, I'm not going to use this, I'm not going to use this. But it looks like I can use side, 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 I believe, because I have this side right here that these 2 triangles are sharing. Right here, this side right here, the 2 triangles are sharing. So I can say that this side here in triangle ABC is congruent to this side here, right here. Okay? So put 3 marks and 3 marks. So I can definitely state that these 2 triangles are congruent, so I'm going to put yes, they're congruent. And by what reason would I use? Well, side, side, side. I have 3 sides of one triangle congruent to 3 sides of another triangle. Now, we're not done yet, okay? We're almost done, but we're not. Look at the directions. After you've said yes or no, then write the triangle congruence statement. And so we're going to do that now. Let me go ahead and put this right here. Now, okay, we're looking at triangle ABC and triangle BDC. Now, watch carefully what I'm going to do here. You've got to line up corresponding side with corresponding side. The best way to do that, please listen to my advice, the best way to do this is to mark the angles congruent, because once the angles are marked congruent, you can match up the angles very quickly. Let me show you what I mean. See angle A right here? Angle A is formed by a 1 slash side and a 2 slash side. Do you see that? Here's angle A, and it's formed by a side with 1 slash and a side with 2 slashes. So I'm going to go to the other triangle and I'm going to find an angle that has formed by 1 slash. Here's 1 slash, and here's 2 slashes right here. So angle D is going to correspond with angle A. So I'm going to put 1 mark here like this and 1 mark here. Now let's pick out another angle. Let's pick out this angle right here, angle B, right here. Angle B is formed by a 2 slash side and a 3 slash side, angle B. So I'm looking for a 2 slash and a 3 slash. Well, here's 2 slashes. Here's 3. So I know that B and C, angles B and C, go together. So I'm going to put 2 marks here on this angle and 2 marks here. Now, the last angle on this triangle has to be congruent to the last angle. And now that I've marked the congruent angles, it's really easy to write my congruence statement. I'm going to say triangle, and look students, I don't care if you put ABC, BCA, CAB, CBA, BAC, it doesn't matter what you put in the first triangle as long as the second triangle here matches up. So if I put A first, A is congruent to D, so I must put D first over here. My second letter is B, and B has 2 slashes, and B corresponds with angle C, so I must put C second. My last letter here is C, and C has 3 slashes, and the angle over here with 3 marks is B, so C corresponds with B, so I put a B right here. So triangle ABC is congruent to triangle DCB. So again, our goal here is in the first blank you put yes or no. Either the triangles are congruent if they're not, and if you put yes, then you tell me why, and of course you tell me why by using one of your 5 reasons up here. And then if the answer is why, also I want you to write a congruent statement in the second blank. All right, let me see if I can get a hold of this and pull it out of the way. There we go. Okay, now let's slide this up so I get a little more room, and hopefully that'll help me cut these triangles out if I need to. I guess I really don't need to. We can just leave it like this. All right, let's take a look at these 2 triangles, and they need some letters. I'm not sure why I didn't do that. We'll put A, B, and actually on second thought I am going to cut those. I think it'd be a little easier if we did. So there we go. I'm going to very quickly separate these 2 triangles. So we're going to call that triangle ABC, and then we'll cut out this triangle here. And I guess we'll call that triangle, let's see, we said A, B, C, and we'll put a D into E here, so this triangle is D, C, E. And notice there was one mark here, so I'll put 1 mark here. There were 2 marks here, so I'll put 2 marks here. There's 2 marks right here, so I'll put 2 marks here. There's 1 mark here, so I'll put 1 mark here. Now, can we state that these 2 triangles are congruent? Well, students, yes we can. We learned a long time ago that when 2 lines intersect, their vertical angles are congruent, so these 2 angles are congruent, and these 2 angles with 2 dots are also congruent. So we did learn that a long time ago, so I know this angle right here, I'm going to put a slash, is congruent to this angle here. So that means this angle here is congruent to this angle here. So I have side, then an angle, and then a side, congruent to a side, then an angle, and then a side. So yes, the 2 triangles are definitely congruent. Yes, they are congruent. And what reason is that? Side, angle, side. Now you've got to write the congruence statement. Please be very careful. Mark the angles first. It will help you. Well, I already know this angle here is congruent to this angle here. I already know that. Now, let's see if I can't match up corresponding angles. See how this line right here has 2 slashes or 2 marks right here? See that? And see how this line has 2 marks right here? Well, on this 2 mark side right here, I've got this angle and then a blank angle, and I've got this angle and then a blank angle. Well, that means this angle right here would match up with this angle here. And then see how this side here has 1 mark and this side here has 1 mark. So this angle right here would correspond with this angle here. And now that I have the angles marked, this will be really easy. It'll be triangle, I'm just going to say BAC just to be a little different. Triangle BAC is congruent to, okay, here we go. My first letter is B. Now remember, I don't care what order you put these letters over here. You could put BAC in any order that you want, okay? But whatever letter you put first, in this case it's B, it has 2 marks, then you must put D first because D has 2 marks. Then your second letter is A. A has 3 marks, so you must put E second because E has 3 marks. And of course, the only letter left over here we didn't use is C, and so there we go. So what we're reviewing here, guys, is your ability to look at two triangles and decide yes they're congruent or no they're not, and then give me a reason. Side, 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 angle, side, angle, angle, side, angle, or hypotenuse leg. Okay, so make sure you're really familiar with those. One more slide and we're done for the day. Okay, here's what you learned in class earlier in chapter 5. We learned that when you have an angle like this, let me highlight it in red, and then within that angle you have a ray coming out or a line or a segment coming out, whatever, and it's done in such a way that, are you ready? This angle here is congruent to this angle here, and one other thing, from this point right here you have a line coming off and a line coming off like this, and they're perpendicular to the outside angles like this. When those things happen, then you know that these two segments here, AD and CD, they're congruent. Let me go over that again one more time, especially for Haley. I'm not sure if she was here when I taught this or not. Whenever you have an angle like ABC and then a line or a ray or a segment coming out in the middle of it, if this angle here with one dot is congruent to this angle here, and these two lines come off the same point and they're perpendicular to the outside, then these two segments will always be the same, always. So this one's going to be pretty easier. Number 13 says find the length of CD. Well, obviously if AD is 5, then CD is also 5. So that was easy. Okay, now let's come over here. Do I have this angle here congruent to this angle here? Yes, I do. Do I have these two segments coming off the same point? Yes, point M. And are they perpendicular to the outside of the angles? Yes, they are. So this segment right here, JM, is congruent to LM. So JM is x plus 1. LM is 2x minus 5. We're going to set them equal. And why do we set them equal? Because they're congruent. This segment right here is congruent to this segment right here. Okay, so we set them equal, and now we're ready to go. It doesn't matter where you put the x's. I'm going to bring this positive x over, and when I bring this positive x over, it's gone, and that leaves me with a negative x. So I have 1 equals x minus 5. By the way, if you want to put a 1 here, it's totally fine. 2 minus 1x. 2 minus 1x is 1x. Now I've got to bring this negative 5 over, and when I bring this negative 5 over, it's totally gone, and I have a positive 5. So now I'm left with 6 equals 1x. And of course 1x is just x, so you really have 6 equals x. Now, let me turn that cell phone off. Okay, now 6 equals x. That's not your answer. That is not your answer. The instructions said to find the length of segment ML. And here's ML. Do you see that right here? And ML is really what? 2x minus 5. So now that you solve for x, where the x is, you're going to have to substitute a 6 and then find the length of ML. So 2 times 6 minus 5. Well, 2 times 6 is 12. 12 minus 5 is 7. So we're going to put a 7 right here. Okay? So there we go. And those are the main things we're taking from chapter 5 and the test from chapter 5. So that's it. You have these handouts now, so please take advantage of those and hold on to those and use those. Hope you guys have a great rest of the day. Call me or email me if you have any questions.